Hey everybody, welcome to the West Dakota Dad podcast. My name is Cody. I am your West Dakota Dad, coming at you with an all-new podcast where I'm going to be talking about faith, family, and life in general. This is episode number 1 with That Didn't Go As I Planned.
2.
Okay. When I read the red letters and the ground began to shake, prison walls started falling, and I became a free man that day.
Jeremiah 29:11-13. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not disaster, to give you a future and a hope. In those days when you pray, I will listen. If you look for me wholeheartedly, you will find me. Now, let's take a trip down memory lane here about where my faith journey began. Well, it started out, I was standing next to a guy in a dinosaur costume. So you know this story is going to be pretty good. Because I was Batman. It was preschool. And me and my new best friend, we were going to have a sleepover. And then after we had the sleepover, the next morning, his mom called my mom and asked if I could go to church with them. And my mom agreed. And so it was that day forward that I became the most faithful servant of the Lord the world has ever seen. Yeah, not really. But I did attend Grace United Methodist Church all the way through high school. My buddy's dad was the pastor, and I absolutely loved going to vacation Bible school, Sunday school, youth group. We did a puppet ministry. We did mission trips. It was a blast. I absolutely loved it. But I didn't really pay much attention in church. I mean, I was a kid. I couldn't pay attention to anything. My biggest concern when I was younger was, I wonder what snacks they're going to serve after the service. And then desperately waiting for those 2 awesome words that would dismiss the service. Coffee time. Yes, that was awesome. And then as I grew older, my interests became different, but I still wondered about what the snacks were going to be. And they started to focus on, stuff like girls and sports, because that's what teenage guys think about a lot. But I knew the basics. Adam and Eve, first people on the world, and then you got Noah had an ark, Moses parted the Red Sea, David took down some guy named Goliath, and Jesus was the reason for the season, and that he died for our sins, which is really cool. And then I do remember faintly that some guy named Saul changed his name to Paul. For some reason. I'm not really sure. But like I said, the basics. But my mind was focused on sports. I wanted to be a professional athlete more than anything. I wanted to be able to put the small town of Piedmont on the map. And so my ultimate goal was to hoist that Lombardi trophy over my head or win an Olympic gold medal. That was my plan. That was my goals. That's what I thought I was destined to do in this life. And then college started to come around, and I wasn't getting any scouts looking at me, and no scholarships were offered or anything like that. So my hopes and dreams to become a professional athlete kind of faded a little bit, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, I worked so hard to get there, and now it's just not even an option. So while I was in college as an exercise science major, I it was kind of down because I was with all these athletes, I'm training them, but they're better than me. They're more likely to become professional athletes than me. And that sucked. And so in college, the other thing I like to do is watch a lot of movies. When I was supposed to be studying or paying attention in class and stuff, yes, you sense a little bit of a pattern here. Not much of a school guy at all. But there's one movie that I remember watching that kind of changed my perspective on what I wanted to do with my life, my new plan. this movie made me realize that I want to become an actor. And the reason why was because there's these two Hollywood hunks, right? And all the girls just love them. And their acting skills, yeah, pretty poor at the time, so it gave me a glimmer of hope. I was like, well, if these two guys could do it, well, I sure can. And I bet you're wondering what movie that was. Well, I'm not proud to say, but it was Twilight. And Robert Pattinson and Taylor Lautner, I wanted to be like those guys, but better. So I started to study the industry. I started to practice my memorization skills, my improv skills. I started to practice monologues and try to control my facial features and my emotions and everything like that. So then I went to Orlando, Florida for this big talent convention, I guess you could call it, where there would be a bunch of these big name agencies like Ford Models, Cosmopolitan, Abercrombie, and a ton more. And it was a huge opportunity, and I absolutely loved it. And I did get one call back from Ramona's talent agency in New York City. Big time, let me tell you. So the only problem with that was I had spent all my money going to Orlando, and I didn't have any money left over to go to New York for this interview. Thankfully, I had some friends that believed in me, and they all pitched in along with some coworkers and stuff, and they got me a plane ticket to go to New York. I mean, I was beyond blessed. I'm still thankful to this day for that opportunity. So I guess here we go. We're going to New York. This is it. This is my opportunity. And as I was flying to New York and landed, I noticed there was something a little different. Well, let's think here. I come from a town of approximately 2,000 people or so at the time on a good day. And I just went to a city that has a population probably greater than the state of South Dakota. Yeah, my anxiety was through the roof. I mean, words can't even describe how anxious I was. I was looking over my shoulder. I watched too much CSI for this stuff. And so, yeah, I went to the interview. They said they would like to work with me. However, I'd have to move to New York in order to get this opportunity. And it just, my heart wasn't quite in it anymore. And I don't know. It just wasn't it. So I came back to Dickinson, North Dakota, and with my hung head low, kind of embarrassed, a little depressed, and just wondering, like, why? Why isn't this going as I thought? I mean, I'm a good-looking dude, and I can do stuff. I want to be famous. I want to put Piedmont on the map. I want people to be proud of me. I want to be rich and famous. That would make me happy. And it didn't work out. So I remember from church back in high school and stuff that, you pray and God will listen. So I decided to start praying. And it kind of went something like this. Please, God, why? Why won't you let me have this? Please, God. Or even, going through breakups and stuff. Please, God, why did she break up with me? What is wrong with me? I don't understand. Please. That was about my prayer cycle. He was my heartbreak hotline, my troubles hotline. I guess you would call him my 911 God. Pray in case of emergency, which is pretty much all I ever really did. Not a very in-depth relationship with the Lord. The prayers were pretty shallow. And self-centered for sure. And so I'm still in Dickinson, North Dakota. I had multiple going away parties because I just wanted to get out, but there would always be a bigger opportunity, it seemed, to want to keep me in Dickinson. I didn't know what it was, but it would always arise. And while I was working at the community center, I had met this person who became a friend over the summer. Because her parents lived up here and she was just up for the summer between college semesters. And she we became pretty good friends, and she kind of became my crying shoulder and listened to all my troubles. And yeah, not all the time, but I mean, every now and then that seemed to happen. And we weren't ever in a romantic type relationship. We were friends. A guy and a girl can be friends, believe it or not. Weird. So we had spent the summer with my other friends and everything, and it was fun. So at the end of the summer, or actually before the end of the summer, she'd always tell me, you should be really thankful for everything you have, and your opportunities have been presented to you, because not everybody gets those. So I started to think, yeah, okay. And then at the end of the summer, she got me a card, and in the card, she said, "Thank you for being one of my good friends over the summer. It was a lot of fun. I really do wish you the best of luck in whatever you decide." And then at the bottom, she wrote Jeremiah 29:11-13. And so it dawned on me then that I've been kind of selfish. So I started praying a little bit more, but not as often. And it still seemed kind of be like a 911 prayer. And, but I would be thankful. Sometimes I'd just pray to be thankful. And I was like, okay, so my prayers are getting a little bit more depth to them, and they're not so shallow. At least I'm being thankful. So, am I a Christian? I mean, I believe in God, yes, but I got a long ways to go. Very immature in my faith, and so yeah. And like with my family not around in Dickinson, I just really didn't have like I wanted a girlfriend, right? I wanted somebody that I could start to spend my life with and everything, because I was just lonely and kind of depressed, and I really didn't know how to talk to girls at all, because I always just resorted to, yeah, look at me, and try to impress them, and wasn't ever really myself, and it just would lead to more heartbreaks and more, hey God, help a brother out, kind of prayers. And yeah, it just wasn't a good deal. And now okay, so let's go into the career aspect of my journey here. So okay, pause. My dad always told me that I should join a trade. I need to join a trade because they're in high demand, and it's good work, and there's just so much room for growth in a trade. It's a skill you can take with you home and everywhere else. So I decided, I already knew. I was like, no, I'm not listening to you, Dad, because if anybody's ever held a flashlight for their dad while they're working under the hood of a vehicle, they know that they are going to get yelled at, and they're going to learn about every bad word in the book. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But then God has a kind of a funny way of doing things, and well, lo and behold, I'm a journeyman electrician now, and I have been for multiple years, and I absolutely love it. So that was interesting. So now, at least in life, I've been humbled, I am thankful, and now I have a career. My plan is starting to unfold. And even though it wasn't exactly my plan, because remember, I wanted to be a professional athlete or a big-time movie star. So now life is starting to have a lot more meaning to it. And then a couple more heartbreaks here and there, and all of a sudden, I had met the one. The Miss Good Looking, what you got cooking, my wife. Caring, loving. I always struggle with finding any adjective to describe my wife, because there's just not enough. I love her so much. She's my best friend, and I can't describe it. And the first time we got in a fight, I thought the relationship was over, because that's how every relationship has gone for me. And she wanted to fight through it, and we'd grow together, and we'd love each other more, and it just, yeah. And we ended up getting married, and we kept growing together and loving more and more. And then one day, I'm away from home down in South Dakota with some friends, and I get a phone call from her. And she asked if I was by myself, and I said no, but I can be. And so she had delivered some big news to me. She had let me know that I was going to be a dad. And I was excited. I mean, I always knew I wanted to be one, but I didn't know if it was ever going to happen to me. For one, I could not keep a relationship longer than a few months, and now I'm a couple years with my wife, and now we're going to have a child. I was excited. But then I started to get a little bit nervous and scared. I know what you're thinking. Oh, he's scared of responsibility. He's scared of the commitment. His life is over with kids. But no. I was ready to be a dad. I knew I could do that. But I was just nervous because I was worried that I was going to faint in the delivery room. Weird first thought, right? But that was one of my biggest fears. I never even thought I feared, but I knew that my wife would need me. But how could I be there for her if I was passed out on the ground and fainted? You know, like I needed to be there for her in this moment. So, God, I got some news. Thank you, by the way, for blessing us. Now, please help me. I don't want to pass out. I don't want to be squeamish. I want to be able to show her that I am the strong rock that she needs and to be a father. And, I mean, that's what it turned out to. Well, then something else happened. A few weeks later, I was asked to join a men's Bible study group. And so I accepted. And in this group, we talked about how to develop a relationship with the Lord, what prayer is and what you should include in your prayers, and the importance of being a godly husband and father, and how to handle God's blessings in life and life's biggest challenges. So this was like everything I needed right there is this group. And then I quickly realized once the group started that, man, I slacked going to church, because I haven't been in church ever since I moved to Dickinson. And boy, even trying to remember back to my childhood of going to church, I quickly realized I was the least educated person about the Bible. But that's okay, because this group, I mean, my mind just became a sponge. I started absorbing so much of it, and then I started reading the Bible every day and the gospel and seeing what Jesus actually did and what his sacrifice actually meant for us. And oh my gosh, it was so monumental that, I mean, my entire life changed. I started to pray every single day and form an actual relationship with God. I started my prayers off being thankful for everything that God has given me. And then I would go right into repenting of my sins. What? I thought I was an angel. No. I mean, I started repenting of my sins and trying not to sin, just to become a better follower of God and a better child of God, And so I started being thankful. I started repenting of my sins. I started praying for others. Yeah, not prayers just about me. That's weird. Okay, yeah. But no, I started praying for others, and it felt so good. Like if someone comes to me and say, "Hey man, I'm going through this tough time. Will you pray for me?" Heck yeah, man, I will. And it wasn't like, heck yeah, man, I will, and then don't do it. Like I actually would pray for it. 5 minutes, like right there with them, or like 5 minutes after they left, I would just make sure I would include him in my prayers. And then, of course, I would still pray for myself, but I mean, my prayers had so much depth and just solid foundation that I actually felt God's presence. Like I felt like I was in a relationship with him, one that I should have been all along, but I never truly was. And so now my life's starting to unfold, and I am starting to see this plan he has for me. Well, on March 5th, 2019, my biggest test was happening. Okay. So we went to delivery room. We went to the emergency room because she went into labor, and we got into a room, and she was in labor for many hours, and I just remember being there for her and just trying to comfort her because, I mean, I could just see how much pain she was in. And then it was showtime, like, baby's coming. And I was a little bit nervous, but I held strong, and I just took it all in. I didn't get slightest nauseous, queasy, nothing. My face still had full color to it. It was awesome. And I remember holding my daughter for the first time and just thinking, wow, this is awesome. And another chapter of my story got started in my journey, my faith journey. And yeah, that was part of the plan that God is going to make me a dad. And it's really cool. So for you out there that are just lost, confused, and just wondering, hang in there. Pray, form a relationship with God, be humbled, and be thankful, be generous. And you'll start to see what the story unfold of what God has planned for you. So, thanks for listening.
When I read the red letter